Welcome to the last session of the day. You've made it this far. Congratulations. Now we have the inevitable task, we have the task of standing between you and the party. How many people are going to the party? Anyone sign up for dodgeball? No. Oh, one dodgeball player. Look out. All right. Well, my name is Jeff Shaner, and I'm the product engineering lead for our field apps team based out of Redlands, California. And joined with me today is Chris LeSueur.
Hi, I'm the product manager for Survey 123 and QuickCapture.
And our lovely moderator today, who you won't hear much voice of, is Mr. Kevin Burke, and he's also based out of Redlands with our field apps team. So what we're going to do is talk about our field apps today, provide an intro and a what's new. I'm going to drone on for about 25 minutes, and Chris is going to mix it up with some demos on Survey 123. So Survey 123 later, right?
One demo, yeah.
One demo, all right. Now, this session is being live streamed, so we have to keep it PG, unfortunately. But there's a number of people that are remote watching, so thank you very much to those people that are remote. We are taking your questions remotely too, so feel free to ask anything, and we'll get back to you on those as well as questions you have in the audience afterwards. And we want your feedback, so please use the application to fill out your thoughts around this session and other things you'd like to see in the future from us. All right, I'm going to start with a brief strategy of field operations, how we think about building our field apps at Esri, and then we'll dive into each of the products. So first and foremost, the way that we approach the development of our field applications is we look at the patterns in which our field apps are used. So building these kind of off-the-shelf applications that are centered around maps or forms or projects, we serve every sector that Esri sells software to. So our apps can be used for damage assessments on a wildfire. They can be used to do mobile as-builting for an electric or gas company. And the needs across those industries are quite varied. So we look at the patterns of use, we build capabilities into our products that kind of fit into those key patterns, and we build upon that with either new applications or functionality into each of the individual products. And those key patterns are really centered around how you plan and coordinate your field work, how you get to your field work location in the most efficient manner, how you can use maps and GIS content to enhance situational awareness, and how you can do data capture in the field and inspection workflows in the field. And finally, how you integrate all that information back not only into the ArcGIS system, but into your enterprise systems as a whole. So that's the thought process we go through, and we just iterate on capabilities left and right. When it comes to planning and coordination, primarily we're thinking about you as GIS analysts that are, building those maps and applications that get deployed to your mobile workforce. How do you get started? And in Field Maps, we have a Field Maps Designer web application. Survey 123 has its equivalent, so does QuickCapture. It's your tooling to kind of provide that very focused user experience, which is really important as we add more and more capabilities to the product. Because we want our mobile users, your mobile users, to be thinking about the applications that they use as their applications, not an Esri application. Now that's going to extend this year with some capabilities that are coming in ArcGIS Field Maps to thinking about how do you plan and coordinate work. So we're going to add a new tasking capability into field maps, and I'll talk about that briefly in our road ahead. When it comes to awareness, situational awareness, obviously that access to enterprise data is important, but building rich interactive maps that leverage all of the pieces of the system architecture. So to really take advantage of mobile applications, you need to know how to make maps, you need how to build feature services, you need to know what pop-ups are, you need to know what forms are, you need to think about the transaction model. There's a lot. I mean, we sit on the top of the stack of products. Location awareness. So all of our mobile applications support the ability to record and share locations. So you can keep others that are supporting the field workforce informed. And we do that in a variety of ways across the app. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Navigation, mentioned this already. Does anyone not know we have a product called ArcGIS Navigator? And it's okay to put up your hand if you don't know that we have a product called Navigator. Okay, so ArcGIS Navigator is a mobile application, and it gives you turn-by-turn directions and voice guidance. And I think what's really cool about that product is that you, as a GIS professional, are in charge of the map that's used for navigation. You can control the routing network. You can control the layers that are inside of that map used to search against, to find the destinations you route to. And you can even send a pre-planned route to a mobile workforce if you'd like. Now we're going to make some important licensing changes to this Navigator application in Q2 with a summer release so that anyone who has a mobile worker or user type gets the application without any extra cost. Today, it requires an add-on license that you have to purchase. So that's going to go away this summer. Data capture. Data capture is such a big deal. We built 3 apps to support it. We have the form-centric approach that Survey 123 has taken, which is the best approach for converting a paper-based form, especially some of those more advanced forms that you encounter. I've seen some pretty advanced forms. QuickCapture that provides the ability to just, with a single button tap, capture data in the field. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. And field maps, which leverages a map-centric approach that builds through the system architecture and does a lot of interesting things there too. Finally, integration. Connecting to enterprise systems is extremely important. How many of you use webhooks today in your architecture? Yeah, so webhooks being supported against a feature service. You reap the benefit of someone as an editor in a mobile application as well. So if you want to chain together workflows where perhaps someone completes an inspection in the field, that inspection fails, and you need to notify someone about it, webhooks are a great way to do that, as well as integrating work management with other systems as well. Okay, that's our patterns pitch, that's our strategy. We just pile stuff on top in all those different areas. That's what we do all day long, every day. I'm going to switch over to field maps, talk about the capabilities, a little bit about what's new and what's coming. Field maps is a solution that we released in November of 2020. I affectionately refer to it as our COVID baby, but it was built out of a series of other mobile applications that we've assembled over time, namely ArcGIS Collector, Explorer, and ArcGIS Tracker. Those applications came together, and then we greatly expanded their capabilities and released field maps back in 2020. There's a field maps designer web application that lets you configure the experience. It lets you build things like geofences and smart forms and the offline capabilities that's leveraged for your map. So you can start with the designer and stay in that application and deploy your mobile workforce without having to ping pong around using the home app, going to the map viewer, going to the item details to set settings around the services, all of that stuff. We want to keep you focused on getting your job done so you can build and deploy maps as fast as you can. So when it comes to increasing awareness for field teams, beyond what we did with Explorer, which is just simple map viewing and query against the layers that you provide inside of a web map, symbolizing and all labeling and all that stuff, we've added a lot more. Things like location sharing, so that you can see your location on the map and record where you've been, see the history of that. Being able to provide geofence notifications based upon the content in your maps. And if you are a developer in the room, we're leveraging the GeoTrigger API to pull that off. So did anybody watch the plenary this morning? You guys were there for that. So you probably saw barren weather present. And with barren weather, think about how that could translate to your mobile workforce, right? Taking content in through Velocity on perhaps a predicted extreme weather event and turning that polygon on that area into a geofence that updates and notifies your mobile workforce as you come close, as they come close to some extreme weather. Or as we move into providing tasking capability inside of field maps, if I've assigned a task to Kevin and that task needs to be completed at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and there's a big storm coming through, maybe I want to not just notify him about it, but change that due date on that work request to something that he could do on Monday so we can keep him safe. Anyway, just think about those kind of use cases. We take advantage of pop-ups. So I tell this in every presentation that if I see another pop-up that includes a global ID, I'm going to go postal on somebody. So be nice to your mobile workers. Build rich pop-ups that include, arcade expressions, maybe some HTML content. You can add charts to it. Give them the information that they need. And there's no excuse. You don't want a flat set of fields anymore. You can do much better than that. So please do. We've been adding utility network support. So today you can view and trace utility networks when you're connected. This summer, you'll be able to do that same operations offline when you're disconnected. We've added indoor support. So you can use floor awareness inside of the application. And we've also integrated ArcGIS IPS, so you can have that blue dot indoors if you've implemented an IPS strategy as well. When it comes to data capture, obviously integrating high accuracy GNSS receivers is a core capability of all of our products. And we continue to add more and more receivers and do more and more with the capability. And we've got a model in place where in field maps, you can extend the data capture capabilities through app linking to partner applications as well. So these partner applications can take us in directions that we might not add functionality in the future. Things like being able to capture data with backsighting or range intersect methods. You can get into more of those survey-centric workflows through some of our partner integrations. So just looking at the basic capabilities that we provide for data capture in the application, single point vertex capture, we do GPS averaging, you can stream positions as well. We have accuracy requirements that you can set through the Field Maps Designer. You could enforce data capture so that they have to use GPS. You could also enforce it such that they use an RTK fixed position. So you can kind of regulate and provide this framework by which you can ensure that spatial accuracy is maintained and adhered to when you're in the field capturing data. And we'll give you that lineage. So we'll capture a set of metadata fields across points, lines, and areas. So you can go back and assess the quality of the information that was captured in the field. And like I said earlier, we support a wide range of receivers, primarily using a Bluetooth method today. And we work with kind of a contractual agreement with each of the vendors. We want to make sure that we test all of that hardware. Kevin's got, an office full of GNSS receivers that he uses each and every day to test capabilities with. The smart forms, this has been something we've been working on for quite a few years now and will continue to grow over time. The way that we've been approaching smart forms inside of field maps is through a system-wide capability. So the authoring experience you see inside of Field Maps Designer is one that is also in the map viewer. And they both conform to a specification that we've agreed on as part of a greater team. We write a component for authoring the form that adheres to that spec. The Maps SDK has come along and they've been adding support for feature forms, they call it, as well, that adheres to that spec. And we've been iterating on capabilities as we go. And what really powers the smart forms and brings them to life is the arcade expression language. So there's a lot you can do there today, and there's going to be a lot more that you can do moving forward. So this is my "What have we done for you lately" slide, and it really highlights the work that we did in 2024 primarily. And I'm not going to list off all the things that are there, but I'll point out a couple of key themes. You'll see that a lot of the functionality that we released last year was centered around the designer application. And it was more for you to help kind of improve the efficiency of the way you build maps and push them out to your mobile workforce. One of those key themes is the offline capabilities. So if you've ever used ArcGIS Pro to take a feature class and publish it as a feature service, you know that there's an analyzer that looks at the feature class and throws errors or warnings based upon things that it sees. Inside of Field Maps Designer in the offline tab, we have a similar concept in that we'll analyze the content in your map and we'll throw errors or warning and give you suggestions on things that you can do to make your map more offline ready. And things like maybe you're using ArcGIS Enterprise and your map includes an ArcGIS Online base map as part of it, but you didn't set up a proxied environment for that, something that simple. To maybe you've created multiple feature layer views that point to enterprise services and that can cause issues with download. So we're gonna capture a lot of that content so that you can be efficient in making your maps available. We had an update 2 weeks ago as part of ArcGIS Online's release. In fact, our cadence of releases matches ArcGIS Online's cadence of releases. And then every so often, the portal, which is the underlying source for the enterprise portal, gets refactored into a next release of enterprise. So what we released in the February update to ArcGIS Online will be included inside of ArcGIS Enterprise 11.5. That's the next big release for enterprise. That's coming in May. And we'll also have some additional things that are not in the current release. And that's primarily around the tasking functionality and a little bit of stuff around branch versioning that we're doing too. So I mentioned all of what we've done lately has been centered around Designer primarily. There hasn't been much in the mobile app. And that's because we've been in a process for quite some time of rebuilding it from the ground up on top of the new Maps 200 version of the SDK. And in addition to kind of hitting our parity of what is in the released version of Field Maps, we've added more capabilities. So things like the utility network working offline, being able to work to support that. I've got a slide on that. The new tasking capability, I've got a slide on that, so I'll skip over it. When it comes to map viewing, related pop-up elements, the value of that is it's going to dramatically simplify the way that you work with related tables. So if you have a one-to-many relationship between a feature and even another feature or a non-spatial feature, then in a related pop-up element, you can declare the relationships that you want to appear, which you can't do today in the released version of Field Maps. And then if that relationship is editable in the pop-up, we can show an add button that lets you just add a related record, which will reduce the number of taps quite significantly. On the data capture and form improvements, the biggest one there is the edit multiple tools supporting forms. Probably one of the top most requested features we have off the community site. I'll say that there's a lot of arcade enhancements that are coming as well. I think we were on about 8 versions old of arcade. So we're going to jump quite a bit by going from 100 to the latest 200 version of the Maps SDK. And some things like LRS support comes in. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you're using linear referencing for, I don't know, a construction project, and you need to be able to do something like stationing and offsets, you can do it inside of Field Maps. And we've got some examples of how you can bring that to life. We'll also have some offline support for attribute rules, which is pretty exciting. And Kevin and Doug showed that off earlier today. So if you're looking back on your recorded sessions, go to the one on advanced arcade and Field Maps, and you'll see Kevin do this awesome demo of offline attribute rules. Some updates with geofencing, some new stuff around collaboration that we're starting to work on, and a handful of other kind of improvements, both in the design aspect, accessibility, and just a few other little nuggets. On the tasks capability, if you're familiar with ArcGIS Workforce, this will become its replacement. So I mentioned earlier we had Collector, Explorer, Tracker as separate apps that became Field Maps. Now we'll have Workforce in there. But we didn't just bring existing Workforce in, we blew it up. And so now you've got the ability to leverage more of the system architecture like you couldn't do with Workforce. So tasks, unlike assignments, could be lines or polygons. They could be hosted feature services or referenced feature services. You can extend the schema, and you've got forms as a part of that. The display of the information is your pop-up, so you have complete control of that. And then I think the coolest thing that we're doing is that you can change what we call the status value. And the status value from Workforce would have been unassigned, assigned, in progress, completed. You can make that whatever you want, and based upon the status, you can drive different actions. And actions are tools in the application, and you can control those tools using arcade expressions. So you can build some really exciting things. Like instead of completing a work order, that complete could then reassign it to the next due date for the next inspection if you want to reuse it. Or it could send it to the next person that needs to do work, because you've got arcade underneath it to bring that to life. So lots of possibilities there. With utility networks, you're going to see a key theme of us adding more and more support for utility networks moving forward. In the summertime, this is the list of things we'll do. I think one of those that's important to kind of mention, because I don't think I mentioned it elsewhere, is that we'll add support for editing of subtype group layers. And that's kind of it's not unique to utility networks, but it's leveraged, quite closely there, including being able to define a form at the subtype group layer level, which is quite powerful. This is kind of our roadmap for utility networks. So if you are interested in utility networks, you can see how we've got a lot of work ahead of us. So lots to do there. And then I'll just give you the general roadmap on field maps next. So you can see this near term is our summer release. We plan to go into an open beta version of this latest application in April with the intent to release it sometime this summer. And then after that, well, we've got a whole bunch of things we got to do. So lots moving forward. Most important thing is that bottom statement on the slide in yellow. Timelines and details of this can change. So I saw some people taking pictures. Don't hold me to it. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
Sounds good.
Through
Actually, we're going to take a question first.
A
question that came through the web. So Kevin, if you can read that out.
Yeah, sure. So the question is, do you see ArcGIS field maps eventually replacing ArcGIS Survey 123 as it evolves? Right now, would you say Survey 123 is for highly complex surveys or forms, field maps for simpler forms, and QuickCapture for extremely simple and fast forms?
I think they almost answered their own question.
I think
there.
they did answer their own question.
in the question. But yes, we do not see these two merging into one application. They have distinct workflows and distinct use cases and users. So I'm now going to go into the Survey 123 and talk about what's the product and what's coming. Yep. Or actually, not what's coming, what we've done recently. All right, and I'm on the screen. All right, so Survey 123. This is our form first kind of experience for data capture. 1, 2, 3. We kind of say you create your surveys. 2, you go out and get answers. 3, you share or use those results. So in creating the surveys, we have 2 different ways for creating surveys. We have a Survey 123 web designer. This is available at survey123.arcgis.com. This is, you can create smart forms visually, drag and drop, very easy to use, very quick to get started creating your surveys. And then we have a Survey 123 Connect, our desktop application. All right, this is a Windows application. It's for really creating extremely sophisticated smart forms, sophisticated surveys with complex capabilities. You can configure all these different properties that will then show up on the mobile app or on the web, and you author them in a spreadsheet and then preview them in the Survey 123 Connect app. So you author them in this XLS Forms standard, preview them in Connect, and then publish that. So those are the 2 different ways to create surveys on the web designer or Survey 123 Connect. As general rules, Survey 123, the web designer, get started quickly. Best for those simple surveys, you author things graphically, drag and drop. Connect, you use that full desktop application. You have the full smart form capabilities, and you work with an XLS form, which is an Excel spreadsheet, essentially. You're creating your forms through that. We are seeing, this is kind of a general rule because we are adding more capabilities definitely into the web. Every release, there's more capabilities of the web, so you can actually create a pretty complex and advanced form even on the web now. So we know people really enjoy that experience. We're adding more capabilities there. And then get answers. We have a few different ways you can fill out the survey. One is we have a web app to complete your survey. So just open it up in a browser. There's nothing to install to complete the survey. This is really ideal for public data collection where you just want to send someone a URL and they fill out the information, and it comes back into your ArcGIS system. It comes back into as a feature layer. And these web surveys can also be embedded. So you can embed your surveys into things like ArcGIS dashboards, into an ArcGIS hub site. Experience Builder has a Survey 123 widget to embed a survey into a story map, or you can do it into your own website as an embedded survey on your site. So a few different ways to work with those embedded surveys. And of course, as many people, if you worked with Survey 123, you probably know that we do have a mobile app. And if you're going to do field data collection, you're most likely doing that on the Survey 123 mobile app. It is available on iOS, Android, and Windows, so smartphones, tablets, as well as desktop rugged laptops and such. It's ideal for that field workflow or desktop data collection. It does work offline, so it allows you, as opposed to the web, it allows you to work while disconnected from a network and capture data while you're offline. And it supports integration with, because it's a native application, it supports integration with external receivers and things like GNSS receivers. We support laser rangefinders, RFID tag readers. So because that native application, there's capability you don't have on the web because we can connect into those. And then we get to the last part. We've talked about creating the survey, getting the answers, and now just sharing the results. So we can do that in various ways. One way to share or to look at those results is through the Survey 123 website. We have tools to see where you can see kind of a dashboard of sorts. You can see the data coming in, how much is coming in from who, inspect the records, understand some of the trends that are coming in just from our Survey 123 website. But we also have the ability to create PDF reports from your surveys. So you can create a custom PDF report where you set up a template with your own branding, logos. You can include a summary of the feature or multiple features that have been captured. You can add tables, maps, signatures, photos, all that into this report. You set up the template, you run the report, it pulls in the data, and that can be then shared as a PDF, which can be emailed or archived and used in various ways. So a powerful capability of the Survey 123 product. And the last way, I think kind of a growing popular way of sharing results is through automation. So being able to bring the Survey 123 captured data into other systems. Some people want to do things like automate an email and SMS notifications when something, maybe data has been captured or a survey has been completed. It can be instantly uploaded into other databases in the cloud or other places. And you might want to, as you capture data, enrich it with more data along the way. So we have some out-of-the-box connectors for Microsoft Power Automate and the Make, which was previously Integromat products that will automatically, when a survey is completed, it'll run and maybe push that data somewhere else or convert it and publish it somewhere else. So that's a run-through of Survey 123, the product, the capabilities that we have. Now I'm going to talk now about what's new with Survey 123, kind of what in the last year we have released with the Survey 123 product line. So just an overview. I'll go into some of these items in more detail, but recycle bin, we do have recycle bin support. So if you have enabled that in your ArcGIS organization and you delete a survey, you can actually go back and retrieve it. The new time and date question types from ArcGIS Online we support. On the web, grid layout, I'll go into that actually in the slide after that in a little more detail. Barcode question on the web. So if you're using the web on a mobile device, you can still use a barcode question. Location list is a great capability, as well as some report widget inside of some other apps. I'll talk a little more about those in some following slides. And then in the mobile app, we now support a default map, an offline map all time. So you always have some type of map with you. It's not super detailed, but it is a default. So you always have a map with you on your mobile device if you forgot to take one offline. And we support converting choice lists to CSV file and kind of working with those outside of Survey 123 Connect. So if you want to work with them as a CSV, add more things to them, and then upload them, you can. So location list is a capability on the web, so where you can select a location from a dropdown. So rather than going to a location and capturing it on a map or tapping on a map or using your GNSS capabilities or GPS capabilities, your location is just coming from a list. These are, you're pulling from a feature layer to pull in these locations, and it can support points, lines, and polygons. This is really, I would say, ideal for, you're doing maybe an inspection of a known location. You just want to have a drop down, you want to select it from a list, but that geometry, that location does get sent back into the feature layer. It was already known, you don't need to capture it again. So that was brought into the web this last year, as well as an experience builder. We have a new report widget. So if you have data that's been captured, Survey 123, we bring it into Experience Builder with this report widget. Here you see the example of selecting multiple features and then running the report, running reports using that report widget. And you can get those resulting here. You see PDF reports from the features. So, a new capability. It's in Experience Builder, but it's using the Survey 123 report widget or report capabilities. And then grid layout. So when you're creating a survey, you might not always it might not always be best to have all your questions just vertically, just one after another. You want to use the space on the page logically and efficiently. So we allow you to create a grid layout for your surveys. Previously, these grid layouts were only available to view on the mobile device, typically tablets, maybe desktops, which you could create a grid layout and people could fill it out. Well, now those same grid layouts will show up on the web, so we can efficiently use the whole space. Obviously on the web, you've got a bigger screen typically, and you can use the space better. You can enter data easier. So just an example, this is the FDA Form 3A, the official FDA, food establishment inspection report. Now we can turn that into a, you see there's lots of, this is a grid, this is tables and different yes and no's. We converted that into a Survey 123 form. It does still, as you see here, take multiple pages, and we do support going from page to page, but things are laid out a little nicer. It's not just question, one after another. You can lay them out in this grid format, and even, of course, we include things like signature and stuff that you can also include as we can replicate that at the FDA form pretty accurately. And then what's new with our February release? We just had a release. On the web, we now have elevation capture for when you capture geometry, you can actually capture the elevations. You can type in the elevation when you capture some geometry on the web, as well as you can configure the map tool, the location map tool or map question on the web. You configure it, remove different buttons, the home button, the zoom, you can locate, you can just more highly configurable. On the Connect side, we now support working with feature layer views. So feature layer views allow us to give you have a feature layer that your data is going into, but you might want to have a specific view that you're going to enter data, where only data can be submitted. No one can inspect, edit the data there. No one can query it. They can just submit data. We now support this, and we actually, by default, when you create a Survey 123 survey in Connect, it actually creates that feature layer view for you. So this is important, particularly if you're sharing data with the public and you want to make sure that the endpoint where they're entering data is not a queryable endpoint. It's just a submit-only view of your data. We were doing this on the web already. We were creating these feature layer views. We now automatically create them in Survey123 Connect on the desktop. And say that was just in our February release. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the beta capabilities we have with smart assistants and AI in general. So we've been doing a lot. It's right now all of these are in beta, although one was about to leave beta. These are using AI to enhance authoring a form. So you can now create a form, a Survey123 form, using a chat-like experience where you ask it a question. Hey, create for me a form on doing fire hydrant inspections, and it'll kind of get you started with a nice jump start on that form. We also have the capability to do we have a translation assistant. So if you need to offer your survey in other languages, you can use the translation assistant to generate that same survey, all those questions, in Spanish, in Chinese, in Portuguese. We support many different languages with this translation assistant. That's actually, we're hoping that will come out of beta. It's available to try and to use now in the product. We're hoping that will come out of beta later in the year, probably, hopefully in the summertime. And then we have some new in beta capabilities that we want you to try, and we're evaluating these. That's interpreting, using AI to interpret different inputs and extract information from it. So whether that's images, whether that's audio, or that's text. That's supposed to be text analysis. I forgot to finish the typing word. All right. For this, I'm actually going to give a quick demo. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So, all right. So here I've got a property damage report. There's been a disaster and I wanted to give a report, and instead of typing out the information or going and asking someone some information and having them fill it out, whatever, I'm just going to use audio to go voice to text, and we'll use a hosted service to do that is, I think, pretty good from the experience I've used. And then we're going to take that transcript and convert it and pull information from it to fill out some of the rest of the survey. So I'll try this. I'll hit this record button and talk through. It gives me kind of an idea here of what the answers I should give. Oh, yeah. My name is Chris LeSueur, and my phone number is 909-793-2853. My email is clesueur@esri.com. Address is 380 New York, 92373. This is my primary residence, and oh yeah, of course, my property is insured. So I hit save. In this case, it's analyzing the audio. We'll get a transcript from it here in a second. Now this blows me away. It spelled my last name correct. And I misspelled my last name half the time. So my name's not so easy. It didn't, as you see, okay, it got a lot of this pretty correct in the transcript. And as we scroll down, it filled out my first and last name. It filled out the phone number. It figured out from that transcript the correct email address. And it pulled in, from the text, it found that this is the actual address, and it located it correctly. So pretty amazing, using the voice to text and then using the AI to pull out of that text and fill in these different locations. Yes, it's my primary residence and it's insured. And just to add a little more, we have an image here of the property, and I'll drag that in, and we'll use our image analysis capability, which is analyzing this image, and it's going to say, is this, that's a pretty beat up property there. Is it a severe case? And then it gives me a description of the house and the damage, which we could then, if needed, pull out more information into other questions if we want. So some really cool capabilities coming with AI that I say, they're in beta. We want people to use them and give us feedback, and yeah, it's exciting times. All right, jump back to my slides. Just a little bit about the roadmap for Survey 123. I went over all those near-term things, so we'll go midterm, kind of what's coming. Web designer, grid layouts. Web designer, on the web, you'll actually be able to design those grid layouts. Right now, you can only design them on the desktop. We're going to have later in the year where you can design them on the web. And then I want to highlight a new generation field application, a new field app written a totally new code base. We'll have a beta of that coming out later this year. We're looking at the Q3, maybe beginning of Q4 timeframe. And then long term, a couple things to point out. We're bringing feature reports to ArcGIS Enterprise, so being able to run those feature reports, but behind a firewall on an ArcGIS Enterprise system. And then also long term, looking at next year, Q1, we're targeting to have our next generation of the field app, the first release of it available. It will not be 100% feature parity in that first release. We'll have kind of a 2 apps at the beginning released, but we will have some new capabilities in that new app, and eventually we will reach feature parity from it. And then ArcGIS QuickCapture. So on to the next application. ArcGIS QuickCapture is our quick data capture application. It's our big button, our fat finger application. Tap a button, it captures data. So it's the simplest way to capture things, often used when you're on the move, maybe in vehicles, maybe in a passenger seat on a vehicle, you are capturing data. Here's a little example of someone in a passenger seat capturing information, road debris. As they travel along, they tap a button and it captures information. It actually also captures the line at the same time, so you can do this, capture lines and points at the same time. We offer a web designer to build your experience for QuickCapture, and then of course a mobile app on iOS, Android, and Windows for capturing, for running and pushing those buttons and capturing data. Photos are a big part of QuickCapture. People want to tap that button, and then it'll automatically bring up the camera and then capture a photo. And then capture a lot of metadata with photos. And we make it very easy to capture what we call oriented imagery. So with a tap of a button, it'll give you all the metadata fields you need to capture oriented imagery. So when you capture a photo, you not only have the location where it was captured, but what direction, what was in the field of view. And then we have tools from Esri on the web and in ArcGIS Pro to be able to use that to see, this is where I was standing, this is what I was looking at, and here's the connection between the features and the map and the photo. So QuickCapture is our mobile tool right now to capture oriented imagery. Also in the last year, we've added support for arcade expressions. So being able to, when you tap on a button, have arcade run in the background and fill in information in some of those other fields that you might have. An example of this, people like to do things, I'm in an area, I'm going to tap a button, it's going to capture my location, but what area was I standing in? So it's a point and polygon calculation that you can do in Arcade and capture, let's say I'm in a park, I'm going to capture a point, but it's also going to capture which park I'm in because I'm inside that polygon. There's one example of what you can do with Arcade. Dynamic choice lists, these are really cool when you start up projects, and this was added this last year. When you start a project in QuickCapture, it'll ask maybe which team you're on, maybe where you're capturing data. It's kind of the first question that pops up as you start the project. And these can now be dynamically pulled from a feature layer, and they can be filtered. So again, populate a list with all the team members for the day. Populate that list. On Monday, only show me the list for the Monday workers, and they have to tap who they are. display all the assets that are due for inspection that day. So this is a powerful capability, these dynamic choice lists that come through as you start a project. And we've included some better symbology for when you're capturing data. So when you capture the data, it's symbolized correctly even before it's sent up to the server, something that was previously not available. So we have we support various kinds of marker symbols for doing that. And I'll give a little on the roadmap for QuickCapture. So we did just have a release. We just went out the last couple of days. We had some improved, better GNSS support for a couple of devices. We've recently improved our global ID management to prevent duplicate submissions in certain cases. In the midterm, for the rest of the year, we're looking at really bug fixes and quality enhancements for this product. And that's because this is the same team that creates Survey 123, and Survey 123 is going through a rebuild, as I just talked about, and so is QuickCapture. It will be going through a rebuild as well. It will be built on top of the new Maps SDK for .NET. So long-term things that we're looking at, really kind of a post-rebuild support for indoors positioning service, IPS. We're looking at support for 360 cameras. We're getting a lot of people asking about that, being able to, with a tap, capture data from a 360 camera. So we're investigating that right now, as well as AI assistance, which makes a lot of sense for QuickCapture, being able to just one simple tap, capture information, but maybe use AI to pull out of information from the image and put that into some of your other fields. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff, and he's going to talk some about Navigator.
Maybe we can just use your slides too?
Sure, okay. Sounds great.
Yeah. So ArcGIS Navigator is a product that I talked about earlier. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. And with ArcGIS Navigator, what you can do with it today is you can take a map, you can use it inside of ArcGIS Pro, you can build your own transportation network if you'd like, or you could couple that with our Street Map Premium Custom Roads data source. To build, private roads into commercial roads, layer in your own content on top of it, package it, and deploy it for complete offline use in the field with your mobile workforce. You can control it remotely using AppLink capabilities. So if you'd like to have Survey 123 launch Navigator, QuickCapture, or field maps to navigate to a location, it's a great application for that as well. Now, as far as road ahead for it, I'll just do that real quick. We did an update to ArcGIS Navigator in November, just a quick runtime bump to add some basic new capabilities, like the mobile map package that drives it can support online content, so you can have content from a feature service in there while you're connected. So that's in the product, but we're about to go through a rewrite of it. It is a pretty small product overall, and we'll be able to leverage the work we've done in the field maps rewrite to really accelerate the pace of its redevelopment. A couple of new features we're looking to add is support for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And it'll get just a major refresh in its user experience, along with all the other little capabilities that have come through the system architecture, like pop-up support and whatnot. So look for that. Like I mentioned earlier, it's going through a bit of a licensing change as well, which will make it more readily available for you to use, I think, than having the separate add-on licensing costs that you had to incur in the past. So that's really it. Oh, ArcGIS Workforce too. My goodness, I forgot these slides were in here. So ArcGIS Workforce has been a product that's been around for some time. As I talked about earlier with our ArcGIS field maps, we're going to introduce a new tasking capability into it, and we'll eventually sunset ArcGIS Workforce as a part of that. But if you're looking now at ArcGIS Workforce, thinking about whether or not you want to deploy it, I would actually hold off. I would stop and I would think, could I accomplish what I need to do with the new tasking capability that's coming out? If you're looking to migrate with the existing ArcGIS Workforce product to tasks, which will come out this summer and be in ArcGIS Enterprise 11.5 as well as, ArcGIS Online, there's a few considerations. The data model is quite different. So one thing you could look at in the short term is how could I take the data that I want to be a work layer and bring it in and just layer it on top inside of field maps today. So I can visualize it. And a lot of people do that with external work management systems already. So with that migration in mind, then you're thinking about, well, how do I want to extend the schema? How do I want to provide capabilities for integration perhaps with a work management system based upon my ability now to customize the fields and be able to leverage them inside of field maps? Or if I'm using Workforce today, how do those map to the new schema that we have for tasks inside of field maps that are coming? And then you'll really just take and append data to those task layers as you see fit. We've got customers that have been doing that migration already from Workforce to the preview version of field maps, and are pretty excited about it. So I won't go any further on what Workforce can provide. I will kind of finish by saying, once we've released the tasking capabilities, I'd love to just kill the product like I killed the other products, but unfortunately we have to go through this deprecation process, and it's going to be around for a while. So at least a full year after our official release of tasks inside of field maps. So if you are using Workforce today, know that it's not being actively developed. It will go away, but it's going to be around for a considerable time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, questions. We have
one new question that came in online. This would be a question for Chris. It says, to clarify, the new generation of Survey 123 Field App will be a new second app in the app stores, so users will be able to access both apps for a period until the old one is eventually removed?
Great question. That came in from Paul Hockma from New Zealand. Yeah, so it's exactly right. We will release the new next generation of Survey 123. It'll have the same name, but it'll be a separate listing in the app stores, so people can run them side by side and move over to the new application when appropriate. We do not, as I mentioned, we don't envision 100% parity when we first release. We know we won't have it, but we want to have the majority of our users' use cases in that first release. And as you can, we encourage you, if it works for your workflow, if the new version supports what you need to do, please move over to the new version when you can. So yes, they will be released kind of side by side for a time until eventually the old Survey 123 will not be there anymore.
Okay. Any questions that you guys have? Yes, please.
With the surveys, $75 form to connect work for the new version?
Great question. Yes. The same. We are working so that your existing surveys will work in the new app. We're not guaranteeing 100% fidelity right now, though. Everything's what we've done and built so far, it's working. But yes, it will not be a rewrite all your surveys, but for them to work in the new app. Yeah.
Will we be able to embed our surveys and put that pop-ups and things?
So the question was, will you be able to embed a Survey 123 survey inside of a Field Maps pop-up?
If we need more robots.
If you need more. That's a good question. I haven't played around with that and what's missing.
You see
we don't
challenges?
It's not Field Maps supports a pop-up and instead of a redirect.
Yeah.
But they'd have to have like an iframe or something inside of field maps.
Pop-ups do support HTML content. I don't know to the extent of being able to embed
Me neither.
like a Survey 123 web application inside of it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that you might not enjoy that experience too much.
And it would definitely be an always connected experience. There'd be no offline if you did it that way, right? Because you're
Right, you wouldn't actually be
the way
downloads,
you're
right.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's not in our plans right now. Any other questions?
When you do support HTML, so we can publish to a website and then pump HTML from that website.
Oh, that goes beyond really my depth of knowledge on HTML. I know you can embed HTML content, and there are some limitations to it because of our security concerns against different URL sources, right?
Correct.
But maybe do you know any details about that? We'll put Kevin on the spot, the guy that's supposed to be the silent face here.
It's a good question. I mean, I think that, HTML in general, like, Jeff was saying, does have some security risks, especially for iframe. You can embed certain clients, right, or certain applications that you may not want or sites. But overall, I guess we'd have to maybe just look at like your particular use case and
Yeah.
see how can that, we can maybe use that.
You're being recorded. What's your name and email address and customer number? Just kidding.
Are there any other questions?
All right. Well,
Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
everyone.
for coming.
We got to fill out
Enjoy
the
the party.
survey. Fill out this different survey.
Yeah.
We're obligated. Give us all excellence, I
Yeah.
guess. And yeah. All right. Thank you. Enjoy the
Thank you,
party.
everyone.
Thank you.
you.